All right, here we go. My name's Jeff K., and you're listening to episode 514 of the world-famous West Virginia Surf Report podcast.
Hello, world.
I got pulled over by the police recently. It's been a while since I've been pulled over. And it was for rolling through a stop sign. Not coming to a complete stop at a stop sign. For which I was 100% guilty. I mean, I don't know. It's back up in these neighborhoods. There's nobody around. There's like no other cars, and I'm coming back from the pizzeria. Got a couple pies, and I'm just heading back home. And I could see him lying in wait up there. I went rolling through the stuff. I mean, I slowed down. Kinda. I mean, I reduced my speed by about 10%, and. I mean, and I went and then as I blew through the stop sign, I saw him parked up there, lying in wait, halfway up the block, just waiting for people to not stop at the stop sign. And he was on me, mister. He was on me like a coyote on a Cub Scout. And his lights flashing. There's all kinds of lights flashing inside the grill, up on top, on the sides, underneath. I don't know what the hell. And so I pulled over, just sat there with my hands on the steering wheel, so as not to alarm him. I don't want to think I'm pulling something, I don't want to get shot, So I'm just sitting there, and he walks up and he goes, "Good afternoon. Pulled you over today because you rolled through that stop sign back there." And I said, "Okay." I mean, I'm not going to argue with him. 100% true. That is, what he said was 100% true. I said, "Okay." And, I didn't say it like I was happy. I just go, "Okay." And he goes, "Can I get your driver's license, your registration, and your insurance card?" So I opened the glove compartment, and about 5,000 fast food napkins falls out. Comes tumbling. I had to dig through that mess. It was from every fast food establishment in America. Napkins in there. It's like something that should probably be in the Smithsonian. And I found it, and he goes, "This thing, this registration's expired." I said, "It's up to date. I just don't have the latest one in here." And he goes, "Well, I can find out if that's true or not." I said, "Okay." I mean, I don't. He was cool. He wasn't a dick, but he did say that. So he took all my stuff, went back to his car, came back, and he had a paper. I'm like, "Here we go. He's going to charge me these pizzas. I got a good deal from Domino's, on these pizzas. Now they're going to cost me $225. Damn it! It's the most expensive pizzas I've ever had in my life." So he goes, "Have you ever been pulled over before?" I said, "In my life? Yes, I have been pulled over several times in my 63 years. No. He goes, I mean, recently." I said, No, it's been quite a while." He goes, "Okay." He goes, "Well, I'm not gonna give you a ticket or anything, but and I did confirm that your registration's up to date, so everything's up to date and everything." He goes, "Just stop at the stop signs, follow the rules of the road, and and enjoy your pizzas." I said, "All right." He goes, "I'm going to give you this. You can do with it what you want. You can put it on your refrigerator. You can throw it in the garbage." It was like some kind of thing. He goes, "It just proves that I yelled at you because you didn't stop at that stop sign." I said, "Okay. Thank you." Appreciate it. I mean, he could have rung me up. Some of those cops are total assholes, especially those little small town cops like that. I don't know. They're the worst, you know. But he was cool. He was fine. He just, like he said, yelled at me. And I do throw air quotes up. He yelled at me for not stopping. Whatever. It's been a while. I haven't been pulled over in a while. I've received many tickets for speeding. I've gotten into trouble a lot. And back when I was younger, I got pulled over. I told you, I got pulled over outside on my way to work in Atlanta. And everything was expired. Like everything. I had expired driver's license, and it was also out of state. So I had out of state expired driver's license, expired registration, expired insurance. All the inspections are expired. Everything was expired, right? And the guy's like almost has an aneurysm. He's like flipping out. It's like right outside of work. It's like, you know, maybe like a half mile from work. And my asshole coworkers are going by blowing the horn and, you know, waving and stuff. They see me pulled over and they're like honking and waving and laughing. Oh, they were having a big laugh about that. This guy's like, I'm going to impound this car and take you to the Jefferson Street jail. That's what's going to happen here today. I'm like, what the? I bet the floor of my ass almost fell out. I don't know anything about that Jefferson Street jail, but I don't like the sounds of that shit at all. So he was like pissed. I mean, he was like livid. Like anything that could expire was expired. This is in Atlanta. This is before I met Tony. You know, before we were going out and stuff. I was not your model citizen. I mean, I wasn't bad. I was just a dumbass, you know, just a dipshit, didn't take care of business, right? So he was like really mad and threatened to take me to the Jefferson Street jail, and then he let me go. He said, I'll give you 24 hours. He goes, I'm going to do something for you today you should thank me for. I'm going to let you go, but you have 24 hours. I'll see you out here tomorrow, and all your shit's not taken care of. You're going to jail, and I'm not kidding. I said, all right. And I believed him, and I went to work. I drove to work, and I said, I'm out. You can mark me absent today. I said, I got some shit I got to handle. And I went and got got everything taken care of. I don't know how I did. I don't know how I never had any money back then. I don't know how I paid for things. I don't know how I did it. He scared me enough that I somehow made it work. And I got all my stuff straightened. So it's been a while, but I've been pulled over many times. But it hasn't been recently. Anyway, so that happened. Good times. And I also, on a whim, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, the older boy and I are going to go to Citi Field in Queens, New York, home of Marky Ramone. I'm going to see the Reds versus the Mets on Wednesday. That'll be fun. Never been there before. That's another one off the list. Citi Field, New York Mets, this Wednesday. That'll be fun. That'll be good times. And in less than a month, we'll be going to Yankee Stadium, the new Yankee Stadium, the new, to me, Yankee Stadium. So within a month of today, I will have knocked 2 additional stadiums off my list. They don't count unless the Reds play there. It has to be that team versus the Reds, where it doesn't count. I have been to stadiums. I have been to Fenway Park. I've been to Dodger Stadium. I don't think I ever saw the Reds. I mean, I definitely didn't see them at Fenway. And I don't think I saw them at Dodger. I went to several games at Dodger Stadium when we lived out there, but I don't remember. I don't think the Reds. If I said that Dodger Stadium was off the list, it would feel like a cheat because I'm not 100% sure I ever saw the Reds play there. So I consider that to be no. You know, the stadiums I've been to: Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, Cleveland, and then in a month, Mets and Yankees. So that's a pretty good list. And some other parks that I've been to that no longer exist. It's not really part of it, but this is just for your information. Candlestick Park, Riverfront Stadium, Three Rivers Stadium, the Vet in Philly, Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta, and the old Yankee Stadium, and like I said, Fenway and Dodger Stadium. But I got. Let's see, what is this? 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 8. I went to 8 after these two New York teams. 5, 6. Yeah, 8. I've only been to 8 stadiums. I've been to many more, but 8 for what I'm counting them for. So anyway, Wednesday, Citi Field. We'll see how that goes. The older boy's going with me. It'll be fun. It'll be good times. So we'll see how that goes. I have a whole bunch of calls, but before we get to that, a couple things, bring you up to date on some things. The younger boy's in town because it's a holiday weekend, and I'm off Monday. Woohoo! I'm off Monday, going in Tuesday, taking Wednesday off to go to New York, and then I'm off, and I work Thursday, Friday. It's kind of weird, but anyway. So I only work 3 days this coming week, but it's all chopped up. Anyway, he's home, and he's sick. He's got a cold. Like when we saw him in Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago, sick. I mean, he was actually sick. Now he's just got the sniffles. I don't know. Every time we see him, he's sick. But it's going good. He's with his girlfriend most of the time. She lives here. He lives there. So that's as it should be, I think. When you come back to, if you guys, and whenever I went back to West Virginia, I spent time with my girlfriend. So that's what he's doing too. So he's home. That's good. And then today, Tony and I went out. We went to, I had to get some stuff. I had to go to Target and get some stuff, just stuff, and just day-to-day stuff. And we went to Chipotle. And the thing in the app, it said, you have a free entree. So I went in there and I tried to use it, and the thing's like, of course they thought I didn't know what I was doing, And it says it in there. It says your rewards, free entree. So I scanned the thing. She goes, no. It says it's already been used. I said, when was it used? I don't know. I said, I haven't used it. I haven't gotten a free entree. She goes, nah, you can't use. It's already been used. You've already used it. Pops, you don't know what you're doing. You're all befuddled. You don't know. I said, all right, just forget it. Whatever. Just ring it up. Just give me my food. Shut it. Pack it deep and on a slant. Quarter turn. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, they had that honey chicken. Oh man, that shit is kicking. Then we went over to Target to get my stuff. That place was packed. I mean, pandemonium. And then we went to, we looked at a car dealership. We walked around at the car dealership looking at used cars. Just daydreaming. This is how it starts, though. This is the way it works. This is the way it starts. Fast forward 2 months, and we'll be, buying a new car, or, a new car to us. We did that, and of course, both of us found cars we'd like to have. Add it together, it's like $65,000. All right. Anyway, that's just daydreaming. And then we went to Aldi, and I was talking to Tony. I said, there's some woman at work told me she bought a canoe at Aldi. She told me, this was just on Friday. She goes, I was buying my stuff in the cafeteria, right? Ringing up she works in the cafeteria at work, and I was getting my signature wrap. That's what I say. I said, just give me my signature wrap. And they're like, oh boy, listen, here we go. His signature wrap. I said, you feel free to sell it. You can sell it to others. But remember who came up with this wrap, all right? And you can call it the Jeff if you want. And they're like, oh, just pay your thing and move along. you know. Anyway, so I was getting my signature wrap, and this woman goes, "Hey, you know what I got over the weekend, or I don't know, whatever. You know what I got last weekend? I got a canoe. I got a canoe at Aldi." I said, "A canoe? What the hell?" I said, "They sell crap like that?" She goes, "Yeah, they got a whole an aisle where they sell stuff like that." I said, "Nah, not at mine." I said, I've never seen a canoe in there." I said, "All they got in there that I like is those Girl Scout cookies, those knockoffs of the Girl Scout cookies." And some guys over there, like at the salad bar, he's like, "Oh man, I love those. Those things are great." It's like, what are you, eavesdropping on her? So I said, "I've never seen anything like a canoe in there." She goes, yeah, they sell that kind of stuff." She goes, "I'm going to take that out on the river." I said, "What the hell?" Okay, I don't know. Woman's like, I don't know, 55 years old, 60, something like that. It's like, all right, she's taking her Aldi. She's taking her Aldi canoe out on the Susquehanna River. Okay, whatever. I said, "All right, good luck. Good luck with that." So I was telling Tony about that. I said, "What?" I said, some woman told me she bought a canoe at Aldi. She goes, "Yeah, we don't have a full size one. Ours is not a full size store. Most of them are a lot bigger, and they have this aisle where they sell stuff like that." I said, "So you're saying that we have a Smaldy?" She goes, "Anyway, in most of the stores," I said, "So that's not even worthy of a chuckle." I said, "I thought that was pretty good." She goes, "Yeah, anyway, the store that we have, this doesn't really." She wouldn't even acknowledge. I thought that was hilarious. I stand by it. "So you're saying we have a Smaldy?" So anyway, I didn't know we had a. I thought that was just a. I mean, that's the only one I've ever really been in. The one over in Dixon City. I go in there sometimes. I load up. In fact, I did today. Today I loaded up on those knockoffs. Those of the Girl Scout cookies. That shit's good. We also bought a watermelon, a big ass watermelon. Thing's huge, like the Gilligan's Island radioactive seed watermelon. I'll cut that shit up later. I'll cut that thing up real good. I love a good watermelon. How could you not like a good watermelon? Anyway, I don't know. Do you have one of those? Do you ever bought a boat at all? Like, what the hell? Take that thing out on the river? You ever bought anything you can take out on the river at Aldi? Because that sure as shit happened. I mean, I might be able to ride that watermelon out there. Maybe. I don't know. Give it a shot. Anyway, I got a whole bunch of phone calls. I mean, they've been piling up. Has it been a long time since doesn't feel like it? Man. Anyway, this first one is from our old pal, Mark from Portland. And here it is.
Hello, Jeff. This is Mark from Portland calling. And I really enjoyed your urinal stories and commentary. I have two responses to this. The first is controversial. It's in defense of the middle urinal user. My belief is that when using urinals, you should always travel the road less traveled. Meaning, you want to go where most guys don't because they pee on the floor. So, that middle urinal gets a lot less traffic, and if there's no one else there, it's probably best to take that one because, I get your point about you don't want to be next to anyone, but if no one's in there, you got to look out for you and your shoes. So, that was number one. Number two is this reminded me of something from your zine from way back when you were at work and you were using the urinal and someone next to you, maybe a stall away, or their pee smelled like coffee, and it reminded you made you start reminiscing, like remembrance of things past about your grandparents. And, I think about that all the time whenever I smell coffee pee. So, anyway, Enjoyed it. Bye.
I forgot about that. I think that was in that. That was in the issue that one where I was talking about people smell their pee smells like coffee. That was the issue where the smoking fish made its worldwide debut. That was on the cover. I hand drawed the smoking fish one night when we lived in Atlanta. I think I'd had a few pops, and I just drew that thing on there, and that's where the original smoking fish came. Anyway, yeah, I remember that. It's like somebody starts urinating beside you, and it smells like coffee, and it takes you back to wonderful times in my grandparents' house. They have a fresh percolator going, and everything's just safe and warm. Ah, such reminiscence. Such urination-themed, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, I totally forgot about that. That's ridiculous. And you say you should go you're trying to defend using the middle urinal? I hear what you're saying. I do hear what you're saying. That it's the road less traveled, and there's probably less splashback, less shrapnel in the floor. At the middle one, because that's the one that gets used. I'm not good. No. Okay. If you're sure, if there was a 100% certainty that nobody was going to come in there as soon as you unzip, okay, I guess. But you don't have that assurance. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know some guy's going to come busting in there, and then you have to stand shoulder to shoulder with some guy with your wiener out, and that's no good. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I understand what you're saying, but I don't, it's not worth it. Thanks for calling, Mark. I appreciate it. This next call is from Patrick, and here we go.
Hey, Jeff. Patrick here. Say, I was on a road trip last weekend I was in North Georgia on Highway 400 headed into Atlanta, coming in the Dahlonega, Cumming area, and I came to an intersection of 400 and Crossroads Road. You wouldn't have anything to do with that, would you? Just wondering. I also listened to the episode about weird pissers. I got a couple for you. I was a mechanic at a VW dealer about 25 years ago, and I was this old dude, Gary. He was Captain America. He was a Captain America pisser where he would stand with his fists on his waist, both fists, Well, they redid the bathroom. They redid the whole dealership where they did the showroom, and they redid the mechanic bathrooms and break room. Well, they put these partitions up on the in between the pissers, and it fucked old Gary up. He couldn't Captain America anymore. So what he would do is he'd pick both of his elbows up on the partitions, like, how you hang your elbow out of the car window when you're driving. He would do that on both partitions. It's fucking weird. I never seen that. Anyway, then I got another one that was at the same place. There was another dude that I worked with who was he was your stereotypical short man. He was about 5'5", 5'6". This dude, he was ridiculous looking, man. He had like a goatee and like Guy Fieri blonde spiky hair and tribal tattoos. He used to wear these like dumb looking Oakleys, and he was always telling me about how man, I was in Kroger, this guy was in my way, I just had to kick his ass. He was always telling me about how he was just such a badass, and how he, so the funny part about this guy was he was always coming across as like this bad motherfucker, but then when he had to piss, because he was so short, he had to use his tippy toes. So he would stand on his tippy toes when he was pissing. So that was hilarious. I always had a chuckle at that guy. So, all right, man. Yeah, keep it a good work. See ya.
That is hilarious. So he puts his elbows up on he got thrown off by the dividers. He couldn't do his Captain America stance. So he's put both Put his elbows up on the divider. No, I've never seen that one before. I've never seen that before. And that guy. If you're 5'5", buddy, you're short man syndrome, buddy. Always talking about kicking somebody's ass. He's a tough guy. If he ever went to that Now Voyager bar that I was talking about, that had that high urinal, he'd never be able to. He wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, he'd have to use one of the toilets. He'd have to go sit on the toilet. I don't know. His feet dangling off, like swinging, not touching the floor. But anyway, that's hilarious. Captain America. And Crossroads Road, I don't know. I'm happy. There's a few of them around. People have sent me signs, pictures of signs. Crossroads Road. That's my book. That's my novel. The other day I was looking through. Speaking of novels, I have started many. Well, not many. Maybe like 5 novels, and never finished them. Never really got too deep into it. But I was looking through Dropbox the other day, and I had some old files in there from book projects that have long been aborted. And one of them just said, it just said Chapter 1. I opened it up, and the thing just says Chapter 1. And it says, a zucchini is a mushy bullshit. What did it say? Zucchini is a mushy bullshit vegetable. Brandon knew. That's all it said. There's nothing else. That was the entire thing. That's as far into it as I got. Zucchini is a bullshit, mushy vegetable. Brandon knew. Something along those lines. I don't even know. I kind of remember what I was... Anyway. But no, I had nothing to do with that Crossroads Road. But, I'll take credit for it. There was something something you said that... I don't know. I'm forgetting. Very forgetful. But thanks, Patrick. I appreciate your call. I like the idea. I like the guy with the elbows. I remember what it was. Another bathroom story. There was this guy I worked with in Atlanta, and when he'd walk into a bathroom and it smelled bad, he would fly into a rage. I mean, it would make him mad. He would like get angry about it. And he'd like be in there yelling, "You people, what are you people eating? What is this? How could it smell like this? Is terrible. Somebody needs to see a physician." Not a doctor. It was it's always the word choice that makes it funny. Somebody needs to see a physician. The guy used to get like pissed off, like shouting. There's some guy back there on the toilet, and he's just being berated. So anyway, that's what I was trying to remember. Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate the call. Great. That's a good one. This next one is from Tony in Cleveland. Here we go.
All right, so I'm planning on going to all 3 Reds games this weekend. So I already got one down. I invited my daughters to go with me all 3 days, but their mother has something to do about that. But tomorrow is my daughter's 12th birthday, which kind of blows my mind. Anyway, so I'm trying to buy tickets for the games, and the cheapest tickets were $28. So you click on the thing, and you click on the section, and it shows you 2 seats and 2 seats and 2 seats, and then you click on one, and you go to buy it, and it says, you can't buy that ticket because then it'll leave a single seat there. And I'm like, but I'm only one person. I'm not going to buy 2 tickets just so you don't have some weird phantom seat. And I'm pretty sure the game was mostly sold out, but you could kind of sit wherever you wanted, especially in section 567 where I was. But yeah, so I kept upping my price, 28, 30, 32. and I think I finally bought tickets at 32 because I found one section that had 3 seats next to each other, so I could pick one. But it wouldn't let me pick one seat that only had one that I would leave one person next to it. How frustrating is that? And it's not like you can talk to somebody about it. Maybe there is one ticket window, but I'm not even sure if that even exists anymore. It's all scans and bullshit.
Yeah, I've never run into that. I've never run into the we can't sell you that seat even though it's available, even though it's on the open market. It's listed for sale. We can't give it to you because that'll leave one just one single seat just dangling. I mean, I don't know. There's probably some kind of analysis or something where they can't move those single seats. They can't sell them. I don't know, but I don't know. That's irritating. That would be irritating. You know what I was doing? When I was choosing these seats at Citi Field, this was all done just kind of on a whim. This little trip on Wednesday, I was using AI to guide me. I said I don't want to spend an enormous amount of money, but I'm willing to spend a little bit, and I want to be near the food. I want to I want to have good food near me, and all this stuff. I had some criteria. I said section 110 through 114 to be perfect for you, Jeff. The thing tells you exactly where to go, and I went with it. And I said you'll be on the right side of the, you won't be in the sun, if they're, even at the early part of the game, all that stuff. Had all these reasons and said you'll be near all these restaurants and it listed down. So anyway, I use AI all the time. I don't know, I lean on it, and it does all the research for me. But no, I've never had that. I've never had that happen. Where they won't sell you a ticket. It's annoying. That's bullshit. That's crap. It's garbage. Thanks, Tony. Actually, Tony called back, and here's the second call.
So that rang so long, I actually got a little afraid I was calling your actual house, which I don't have your number, so why would I? But anyway, this is Tony from Cleveland / St. Louis / Oklahoma City / Cincinnati / everywhere. Went to the Reds Guardians game tonight, and it was a great game until it wasn't a great game. And the Reds won, which is great. But they tried really hard to not win. I'm sure you listened to it. And then what really sucked is I live in Cleveland now, so I do love Cleveland. When the Reds are not playing the Guards and when the Bengals are not playing the Browns, I'm a Cleveland fan. So next door, the Cavs were playing the 6th game of the current, the 14th round of the playoffs. And I was like, shit, it's fireworks night tonight. So whether the Guards win or lose, there's fireworks. So the Cavs are going to walk out, the fans are going to walk out to fireworks, even though both Cleveland teams lost. I was like, oh, that's going to suck.
Yeah, the Reds lost 2 out of 3 in that Cleveland series. They seemed like they were doing pretty good, and then they I don't know. There's a call later. They're asking me about the Reds. Wisey asking me about the Reds. I'll get into it, but yeah, I don't know. So at least they won that. At least they won this game. This is the 3rd game, right? 3rd one in the series. I think they lost the first 2, and then they won the 3rd, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway. And then they said both teams lose and they're having fireworks. Whatever. People say people bring their families down. They don't give a shit if they won or not. It's only the dads, the dads who have been living and dying since they've been 10 years old, with every win and every loss destroys their soul, you know. And I'm sure there's some women too, but it's mostly the boys, the men, you know. Ugh. Anyway, the families, they love the fireworks. The fireworks are fun. They're usually pretty good, actually, at baseball stadiums. So thanks for those calls, Tony. Do appreciate it. I'm glad you went out to support the old Red Legs. I went to that stadium once. It was hotter than shit. Hot. It was a day game, and it was like one of the hottest. I felt like my innards were going to start boiling. After the game. We went across the street to some bar. It was me and Steve, and Steve was like, we went to this bar. Steve ordered like some kind of fancy ass, craft beer, which is fine. That's what I would usually order. But I was like, it was so hot, and we were sitting on that level where all the food was included. It was so hot I didn't want to eat anything. It was just like so hot. And so I went over. We went into that bar. Steve orders some kind of craft beer. And I said, "You guys got any Pabst Tall Boys?" And the woman goes, "Now we're talking." She goes over there and cracks open one of those 16-ounces. And I chugged about half of that down in one pull, and it felt like smoke was coming. Felt like smoke was coming out of my throat, like a sizzling sound. It's like put out the fire in there. That shit was hot. It was hotter, and one of the hottest days I've ever experienced. Super humid. Oh my God! But I did see the Reds that day. And so that's on my list. I've been to that stadium one time. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. Thanks for both calls. This next call is from Wisey. Here we go.
Jeff, Wisey in T-Town. Been a while. Wanted to call in. And Jeff, to be honest with you, I want you to give us your assessment of how the Reds have done up to date so far. I will say right now, the Reds are the most confusing and aggravating team to be a fan of. I'm not a fan. I'm a Dodger fan, but I want to like the Reds. I remember the Reds. The Reds were great back in the day. I'd like to have kind of a secondary team, but this year's Reds I don't get it. It's like tonight they win 15-1. They look like they can't be beat. And then all the other games, I would just love to hear what your synopsis is of the Reds so far. Talk to you later.
All right. Well, I'll give you my assessment. I mean, they had a great April. And they lived off of great pitching during that April. Their starters, although they were down, Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo both, their starters were really good, and the bullpen was excellent in April. And then in May, when the calendar turned over from April to May, the bullpen. And that just shit the bed, shit the credenza. I don't know. They were not getting the job done. The Reds weren't scoring enough runs. They needed that good pitching. They're still not scoring all that many runs. I don't understand it. Their offense is not great. Although it seems like, I don't know, some glimpses here and there that they might be getting better. They don't score enough runs to overcome mediocre pitching. They have to have impeccable pitching. They live and die off their pitching. That's what I think. Their offense doesn't score enough runs to compensate for a mediocre pitching performance. It's very frustrating. It's extremely frustrating, and the bullpen cannot be counted on. Making me mad just talking about it. I mean, they bring these guys out. The starters are generally decent. As soon as they take them out of the game and and the bullpen gate swings open, you don't know what the hell's going to happen. And they're only in there for one inning generally. So if that guy does well, you're like, all right, bullet dodge. Then you got to go to the next guy. You don't know what's going to get. You don't know what you're going to get. And the games are so tight because they don't score any runs. The games are always tight. And you get somebody in there, inevitably, one of them gives up like a 3-run homer or something, and it's like, that's the end of that. I don't know, they're very frustrating. They're a frustrating team, as you say, and I don't know, there's glimpses, little flashes of, like, this is a really good team. Because if you look at them on paper, like, holy shit, this is a solid, balanced team, And I don't know, they live and die off their pitching. I don't know, and their pitching's not consistent. So that's my assessment. It's not very funny, but that's my assessment. Thank you, Wisey. Yes, it's a very frustrating. I don't know. You're a Dodger fan? How the hell? Okay, whatever. All right. Oh, okay. Thanks for the call. This next call is from my old pal Eugene. From the mighty Peach, as he says. Peaches 36, Greensboro, North Carolina. Telephone number 852-3926. Here it is.
Jeff, it's your buddy, your pal Eugene from Peaches 36, from Mighty Peach, and the Wheels On podcast. I was just calling because I don't know. I've never heard you discuss it. The television series Malcolm in the Middle. My wife and I just started the reboot. It came out last month in April. And first of all, as reboots go, they generally aren't that good. So we watched the first one, and I was not bowled over. And Malcolm in the Middle is one of my all-time top 10, and never lost any steam all the way through. But the first episode, very underwhelming. But then we watched the following two just this past week, and laugh out loud stuff. So they captured the magic once again, but I can tell I'm only 3 episodes in. But I've never heard you talk about it. I just wondered if you've ever seen it, if you would consider it, from all the stories you say, or you tell us about growing up in Dunbar with Rocky and your brother Tim and all the hijinks goes on, that they could have lifted some of your stories for that TV series because it's just that funny. Anyway, just wanted to know your thoughts. And yes, that was me and Cam that came into your apartment where Cam said "za," which was the first time ever I had heard the word "za" used for pizza. So Cambo was well ahead of the curve when it came to slang. His other phrase, do you remember it? Chokey. If something was terrible or bad or something like that, it was chokey. That album's chokey. I still use it today. Anyway, Jeff, enjoy the podcast and Wheeler's Dog. And, shout out to Ron from Florida.
I loved Malcolm. I didn't watch every episode of Malcolm in the Middle. I mean, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was a funny show. It was consistently funny, like you said. There's episodes of it that I think about all the time. There's an episode of that. Well, I remember. I can remember. What was that kid's name that always had wore the glasses, and he was always needs this puffer all the time and all this stuff. And then he had like some kind of episode, and they dragged him home on a big old sheet of cardboard, like pulling him with their bicycle, and they're just like dragging this kid all the way home on a sheet of cardboard. And I remember, but I also remember an episode. This is the one that pops into my head all the time. They live in, they clean out this closet. They're going to clean out this closet in the hallway of their house. Hasn't been cleaned out in years. And, so they start taking stuff out of there. And I remember the mother takes this big stack of underwear out of there. She goes, "Look at this, Hal. Underwear. Human underwear." I don't know. For some reason, I thought that was hilarious. Or I think she said underpants. "Look at this, Hal. Underpants. human underpants. I think that's what. Anyway, but anyway, they clean out this closet, and then they get all the way to the back, and they realize that it's not a closet. It's a long forgotten second bathroom. They've lived in this house for years, and the thing is like, there's this closet, and it's actually a second bathroom. So anyway, I remember. Yeah, I loved the show. I didn't watch every episode of it, but every time I watched it, I thought it was hilarious. Maybe I should start watching that. I've seen none of the reboot, so it's starting to kick in. All right, good. I'm happy they can tap into that magic. But maybe I should put that onto my list of shows to watch. I just started watching The Boys over on Amazon. Somebody at work told me I should watch it. I watched the first 2 episodes. That shit's bizarre. But anyway, I don't want to get off track. But Malcolm in the Middle, I like it. I've probably seen maybe a third of the episodes. I've seen a lot of them, but I haven't seen all of them. I know it was on for a long time. But yeah, I'm a fan. Liked it. Good show. I need to give it more attention though. I trust your opinion on this thing. So that's my assessment of the Malcolm in the Middle. You guys should listen to Eugene's podcast. You know, if you like mine, you'll probably like his. And the Wheeler's Dog podcast is available everywhere. Everywhere you get podcasts, it's out there. So check it out. Eugene and I go way back to the Peach, the mighty Peach. So anyway, thanks, Eugene. I appreciate that. Let's see. Before I let you go on that thing. So you confirm that it was you and Cambo, as we called him, came into my apartment, me and my brother's apartment, the day that it was one of those days when it was completely trashed, and there was like a pizza sitting in there. There like a slice, like a pizza box with one slice left, and the thing's curled up like a court jester's shoe. Dehydrated, it's been there for days, and Cam goes, "Oh man, look at that za!" All right, see, I like that you actually remember that. Yeah, that was terrible. Our apartment was usually not in great shape, But anyway, thanks for calling, Eugene. I appreciate that. And next, 2 calls from our old pal Ian in Scotland. And here they are.
Hey Jeff, it's Ian in Scotland here, back in Scotland for the meantime. So, just listened to your last podcast for the podcasters, for the Delta team. Got some constructive criticism for you, and I hope you're going to take this the right way. I'm sure you can handle it. So, your feature called Today's Headlines, or depending on when you're listening to them, that could be called Last Week's News Today. You see where I'm going with this? I was aware of these things last week. So, but an interesting take on some of the headlines. But I think you should stick to what you're good at. And you're good at podcasts. Another thing for your sleep, I discovered a thing called Yoga Nidra, or there's a new thing that's based on it called NSDR, non-sleep deep relaxation, involving breathing techniques and stuff. Is very good for falling asleep to. Another thing you could try is a banana smoothie. It's got magnesium and tryptophan, which will help you sleep, hopefully. And yeah, good luck. There's nothing worse than trying to get to sleep and not managing it. I have a question for you. Why do some bands suddenly become unpopular? I'm thinking of groups that I know of, like U2. I know U2 became unpopular because Bono believed he was the Messiah, I think, and the rest of the world didn't. But they suddenly became hugely unpopular. So did Coldplay. Coldplay had a few good songs, but again, people were mocked if they liked Coldplay. And another band, Simply Red, I'm not sure if you've heard of them, British band, but they had some huge songs. They had a great album called Stars, but again, you would have to keep that information to yourself for fear of widespread mockery. I don't know what these bands did, like Coldplay or U2 or Simply Red. They just became the object of extreme derision. So that's my question to you. Can you think of any more examples and why this happens? Again, none of the artists were exposed as pederasts or anything like that. They just became the object of derision. And I am curious to why. Okay, mate, keep up the good work, and I'll speak to you soon. Hey, Jeff, it's Ian in Scotland here. Jeff, just a quick update. Last message. I think I've cracked it about why bands become despised. It is simply because of oversaturation. Done some reading. And there's a Scottish band that kind of bucks this trend, or tried to desperately, but ultimately failed. Wet, 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 who sung the song, I feel it in my fingers, I feel it in my... That one. They pleaded, they sent a message to the fans, to the public, saying, please stop buying this record because it's going to turn on us. Ultimately, people still turned on them. But that's quite interesting, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on oversaturation in the music industry. Okay, cheers, mate. Keep up the work. Bye.
Okay. No, I agree with you on the whole last week's headlines today. Yeah, I don't know. I thought my reactions and my analysis, as it were, would make it fun. That wasn't very good. It didn't work out. I agree with you. That doesn't hurt my feelings. It was just something I tried. I was doing those, I did a couple of those, Am I the Asshole from Reddit? That seemed to go over pretty well. I thought maybe something like this might be. But, I knew when I replayed it, because sometimes when I record these things, I listen to it on my way to work, see how I knew this didn't go over, this didn't work out very well. You're right. That's fine. Doesn't hurt my feelings. That's cool. I tried something. It didn't work. What are you going to do? I don't know about this yoga nidya. What the hell? We talk about yoga nidra. What did you say? I don't know. Fall asleep. I can't. I don't sleep very well. I don't. When I wake up, that's the issue. When I wake up, because I have to use the turlet. That's as we call it back home. I have to use the turlet, and then when I go back to bed, I can't go back to sleep. I start thinking about work. I start thinking shit from work, just cycling through my brain, just over and over, and then next thing you know, I got no sleep. I got very little sleep, and then I'm stumbling and bumbling through the day. I don't know. I went to a quack doctor one time. I called her Dr. Dot. She sucked. I don't know if she's still in business. She might have been put in prison. I don't know. I don't know what her deal is. It's a long time ago. She told me that she said, she goes, this is what you have to do. And you'll be healthy. You will be healthy for a long time. And she said 3 things. Every day, eat a banana every day, a baby aspirin. Do they even make that anymore? A baby aspirin and a multivitamin. So every day, take those 3 things. Eat a banana, take a baby aspirin, and multivitamin. I do take a multivitamin every day, but I don't eat those nanners. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should start taking a nanner. Take a nanner every day. And I don't even think they make baby aspirin anymore. You're not supposed to give kids, like children, like babies, aspirin. I mean, they used to back in the 70s. And look what happened. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So bananas, I guess that's the key. So bands that have fallen, like become despised. I don't know. I mean, I think you listed U2 and Coldplay. I think it's a pretension thing. I think that I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think pretentiousness might play a role in that. I don't know. And some of these bands that are like have that have like 2-3 hits just all in a short amount of time, and then they never follow them up. That wouldn't be U2's fault. That wouldn't be U2 though. So they would be outside the realm on that. But like a band, say like the Spin Doctors, somebody like that, who had 2 hits, and they were like right back to back, and then they never had a follow up. You know what I mean? And people were just like, the Spin Doctors. Or like, what's that band? Ah, shit, I can't remember. Hang on a second, let me think about this. Matchbox 20. That's who I was trying to think of. Like Matchbox 20. They had that one album that had a whole bunch of hits on it. And then they never really were able to sustain it, you know? So then they just become jokes for some reason. I don't know. I'm not saying they're a great band or anything, but is that fair? I mean, most bands don't have any hits. There's other bands that fall into that, like Sugar Ray, Goo Goo Dolls, you know. And then there's the ones that are like, I don't know, just I think in U2 is pretentious as shit, you know. I liked U2. I like that first album, Boy, and I like War, some of those early albums and stuff. But I don't know. I mean, and you know, I don't know. I saw him in concert once, and he was out there. I don't know. Not a big fan of Bono, but anyway, I guess there's different reasons. There's different reasons that bands become despised, and I don't know enough about. I don't know enough about Simply Red. They had one giant hit in the United States. It's one song, so I don't know. I don't think they're despised. I don't think people even know who they are. And Wet, Wet, Wet. No, I don't think that's outside the realm too. I don't know. I don't think people know either one of those bands. Simply Red had a big hit, but back in the MTV era. But yeah, I don't know. I think that some of it's unfair. Like a band like this goes back a way. Like a band like the Knack had that My Sharona song, and then they had another hit too. What is it? Good Girls Don't. Good Girls Don't, but I Do. That shit. That first album. Their first album, which is called Get the Knack. That shit is great. That is a great record. I'm not kidding. That thing has no bad songs on it. You just put that thing on and drive down the highway. You're driving through stop signs, you're like singing along. Every song's a solid rocker. Good stuff. But they get dismissed. Psh, the Knack, My Sharona, and One Hit Wonder. How dare you? You know? But anyway, I don't know. I don't think I can answer it. You said oversaturation, maybe. I mean, and that Dave Matthews band, that band sucks. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that first album, or I don't know if it's the first album. The one that was like Under the Table or some shit. I don't know. I don't know what it's called. And then the only best thing they did was they dumped all their. They emptied their sewer, their holding tank on their tour bus full of human waste, dumped it on a tourist boat in Chicago or something. That's their best thing they ever did. They were up on a bridge, crossing a river. They're just dumping the contents of their holding tank for their toilet on the bus, and just shot it out the side, and a tourist boat went underneath. It like rained down on them. That's the best thing they ever did, as far as I'm concerned. But I don't know. I can't really answer the question. I think there's several reasons. I think the one-hit wonder thing is really unfair. In certain cases, I think it'd be better if a band didn't have any hits. You know? If a band didn't have any hits, it'd be, in certain cases, if they only had one, usually those one-hit wonders are like, what a joke, you know? People just totally dismiss them. Like, I only know one song by that band, so they suck. Like, maybe you just don't know what you're talking about. You ever consider that? I don't know. But anyway, I probably didn't answer the question. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't think there's one answer. But anyway, thanks for calling, Ian. I'd appreciate it. And your constructive criticism, that's fine. That's cool. I agree with you. And I'll eat a banana. There's this woman in Atlanta. She's coming one day. She came with this old lady. She was like real Southern. She had a real thick Southern accent. She come in there, and me and my it was that guy, the same guy. He used to say, "Somebody needs to see a physician." It was him and my boss and our boss. The three of us shared an office. And then this old lady come in there every once in a while and go, "Does anybody want a nanner? I've got an extra nanner." I was like, what the hell? What in the everlasting, ever-loving, toe-tapping, hand-clapping bullshit? Anyway, thanks for calling, Ian. I appreciate it, and that's it. It's going to be kind of a long one. But we're at the end of this thing. Thank you guys for everything. If you want 2 episodes a week instead of a measly one, patreon.com. That's where you can take care of that business. Patreon.com/JeffK. Sign up for a $4 or more monthly donation. You'll get a bonus episode. Every time there's a new one out on the main network, you get a bonus episode a few days later. So if you want to tap into that, there's already 200 and some of them in there. As soon as you sign up, you can start listening to them. So do that today, patreon.com/JeffK. And if you want to call in like all these folks did, you can do that by calling 570-290-8151. Call round the clock, leave a message. It'll almost certainly be used in a future episode. So do it today. And surfreportpod.com is the web home of the podcast. Check that out as well. And we're at the end of this thing. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time, which will be over on the Patreon side. Hope you guys have yourselves a fine, fine day. I'll see you. Bye. I've got an extra nanner.